Hello everybody and welcome into the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series presented by the Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist. Making a return here tonight after a couple weeks worth of break here at Chicagoland Speedway. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. Qualifying just getting wrapped up. Drivers have taken the grid and are getting ready to get this 200-mile event started. So without further ado, let's take a look at tonight's qualifying order. Michael Mueller, one of the rookies for Riot Motorsports, he takes the pole with a 30.597. On his outside, it's going to be Austin Fitzgerald, the winningest driver of the season so far. He looks to see if he can continue the hot streak here tonight. Tracy Powers back in third. Alan Pajari for Dynamic Autosports will start behind his teammate in fourth. Wester Jr. back in fifth with Jared Bundy in sixth. Tyler Marble 7th, GT Hawkins in 8th, Jeff Shutt in 9th, and Jacob Musso rounding out your top 10. Jeff Marble back in 11th with Kyle Oakley for SWM Motorsports in the 12th position. Moving on back to row number 7, it's Greg Bartlett on the inside and Danny Gutierrez on the outside. Brandon Saylor, one of the rookies for Team Marble Eye Racing, he starts back in 15th with Jake Hickson in 16th. Brian Conklin 17th, Brett Spott in 18th, Andrew Russo 19th, and Cody Matthews rounds out your top 20. Moving on back to row 11 here tonight, Ryan Shiro starts 21st with Ryan Haynes to his outside in 22nd. Thomas O'Hara 23rd with Todd Shiro back in 24th. Scott Glasso 25th with Christian Lajin, I think it's Christian Lajin. Apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Please do let me know. But Matthew Gearinger will be back in 27th. Kenneth Bartholomew 28th. Ty Iopolito 29th. Johnny Mikulchuk in 30th. Glenn Grigsby, Roger Shelton make up row 16. Mark Zabot, Christopher Hall in row 17. Caleb Patton back in 35th with Jeffrey Souza in 36th. And Anthony Handley rounds out the field as he will start in 37th here tonight. It's the Chicagoland 200. 134 laps going to be the distance. 100% fuel. 4 sets of tires, no fast repair, 3 green, white checkers if we need it. 86 degrees outside, clear skies, and 113-degree track temp for this 1.5-mile D-shaped oval that we head to here tonight. All right, here we go. Pace car is going to make the left turn for the first time, and the Chicagoland 200 is underway. Lap number 1 is complete. It was a drag race to the line, but it does go to the 74 of Austin Fitzgerald. He is trying to take advantage of that clean air, at least early on here. He certainly is. He's rolling the outside, and I mean, that's the lane you want to be in if you're trying to make passes here. The problem is you're going to wear those tires out pretty quick. Had a chance to race with these guys last Tuesday in the truck series, and I know by no means these cup cars are anywhere near what the trucks are, but one thing that is the same is tire wear and how much of a factor it is here at Chicagoland. You've got to be careful, especially early on. It's very tempting to try to be aggressive because you run very high speed, a lot of throttle time in the first 5 laps or so of this run, but you have got to save tire because you're going to need it in the long run, especially if you've got 2 cars as fast as these front 2 right now, Austin Fitzgerald and Michael Mueller. They stay 1-2 off of turn 2. Further back, though, the scramble is still on. 3 wide for a moment is, I think that was Thomas O'Hara. I'm not sure if that was the car that looked like the whole field was going by. No, I don't think so. I think he just had a slip-up. As a result, he's going to lose a couple of positions here as he's trying to find a spot back in line. That's the 6th of Todd Shiro. Just a spot in front of him now. He'll shuffle in behind Roger Shelton. And then how about the 7 of Christian Lajin, who we talked about making his first start of the season here tonight in the 7. He's already gained a couple spots from where he started on that restart. We'll see if he can pick up any more here over the next few laps. Now again, 100% fuel with these cars here. Again, we don't have the exact fuel window. I think if I had to guess, though, it's probably going to be somewhere in the 60s for all these drivers, at least at the most. Now, I'm not sure how it's going to work out with tire wear, if you feel like you need to pit a little bit sooner or if you feel like you can maybe go a little bit longer. But, I mean, at this rate, at least in the short run, if you're Fitzgerald or Mueller, you got to be on the same strategy pretty much, trying to match each other just about because speed-wise, I mean, they are neck and neck. It almost looks like Mueller might be a little better with the amount of pressure he's putting on the 74, but Fitzgerald has yet to make a mistake, and because of that, there's been no door of opportunity that's been opened yet for Michael Mueller, so he will continue sit in that second spot. Alan Pajari trying to play catch-up from the third position. You've got Tracy Powers back in fourth, Jared Bundy in fifth, Wes Hurd Jr. in sixth. Remember, he's already got a win on the season, but what he's fighting for now is to try to make sure that he can lock himself into the playoffs by finishing, I believe it was top, I don't remember if it was a certain amount of points. It might have been top 16 in points, but again, it's because he's missed quite a few races to say, probably at least a handful or so, and that's why even though he's got that win, and it is a win in your in format, you still got to make a certain number of races and accumulate a certain amount of points for that rule to apply. So Wes Hurd Jr. still got a little bit of work to do, but he's off to a good start here tonight as he qualified top 5 and currently sits just one spot out of that for the moment. Jeff Shutt in that 7th position. Tyler Marble just behind him in 8th. Jeff Marble, teammate to that 48. He sits back in 9th, and then GT Hawkins currently rounds out your top 10. Jacob Musso back in 11th. Kyle Oakley in 12th. Greg Bartlett in 13th. And you've got Brandon Saylor 14th. Brian Conklin rounds out the top 15, and things are starting to get single filed out a little bit more, at least as you go further on back in the pack. However, you can see there are still certainly being moves made. Ryan Sherrill in the 20. He's going to take a peek to the outside, looking for the long way around here down the front stretch. See if he's able to make it work. It looks like he will. By the way, if you're not just the 20 car in general, but I would say anybody on the inside, don't forget, on the front stretch here at Chicagoland, there are no boundaries, so you are able to go as low as you want. Of course, you know, you can't go on the grass, obviously. I mean, you can, but it's not going to work out too well. But point is, Chicagoland, one of those tracks where that front stretch apron, it's a pretty noticeable advantage. I mean, you can see it there just from the TV1 view. I mean, that's probably another 2 to 3 lanes at least just down on the apron. And if somebody's got to run on the high side, dip all the way down there, it's going to be hard for them to try to stay side by side down the length of this front straightaway. Now, interestingly enough, the backstretch here at Chicagoland, a little different as well. You notice it's got a little bit of a curve to it. And that certainly changes the way that you can drive the car off the corner based off most mile and a halves we go to, where you got to make sure that the car is planted and straight off the corner. You get a little bit more wiggle room with the back end here at Chicagoland, at least down the backstretch, that is. But how about this? Change the lead pretty early on here. The rookie, Michael Mueller, trying to go back to victory lane after he had a hot streak of his own in the early middle portions of the season, and then since then has kind of went on a little bit of a drought. But we'll see if he can change that here tonight as he has taken over that spot from the 74. And now Alan Pajari is going to make it a 1-2 running order for Dynamic Auto Sports as he will get, a 2-3 running order as he gets past his teammate. And then Tracy Powers still hanging strong as well as he runs in that 4th spot, qualified 3rd. And then the biggest gap right now is from the leaders, those top 4, which you could throw under a blanket, back to Tracy Powers. The gap between him and Jared Bundy right now is about 2.5 seconds, I would say. That 3 car is trying to play catch-up, and he's actually got a bit of a gap himself from Wes Hurd Jr., and then that's kind of where that second group starts up. Wes Hurd Jr., Tyler Marble. Marble's looking for a move here down on the inside. Jeff's going to take a peek as well. We'll see if the 15's got enough momentum to get clear here. He's trying, looking for a 2-for-1 pass. There you go. He's going to utilize that front stretch apron. Look how low he goes. He may not have the momentum, but he takes the shortest way around, and because of that, he is going to take that position from Jeff Shutt. GT Hawkins looking to the inside, and then behind them, they've still got a bit of 2x2. In fact, a little bit of a gaggle, if you will, back here. This is the 88 of Andrew Russo trying to fend off everybody for the 17th position. Scott Glasso, that car is looking really, really good on the bottom. And, you know, I mentioned tire wears. Ooh, man, that looked like a big moment from the 20 right there. Coming off of turn 4, 3 wide, a couple rows back from that. The 10 of Cody Matthews gets a run on the 6, and then the 35 of Brett Spod for BMP. He's going to try to sneak by as well. But what I was getting ready to say is another thing, if you remember, well, I know we didn't have it on broadcast, but I can tell you, remember back to the trucks, is the drivers that saved tires, they were able to really, really roll the bottom later in the run. And the reason that's important is because the track kind of has a tendency where you want to drive up the track. A lot of people, not all drivers, but a lot of them tend to feel more comfortable with the handling of the race car when you drive it up the track. So if you can still roll the bottom on old tires the shorter way around, you're going to be in pretty good shape. Question is going to be who can do that. And it all starts here as we still are in the early run with how much tire can you save. 14 of 134 laps complete. Do you have a couple people watching here tonight? Hope you all are having a good Monday. Cody Martin, good to see you in here, says, new mic is sounding great. Appreciate it, Cody. And then Dr. Pepper, which looks like is Quentin Clark, says, new mic sounds fantastic. Well, appreciate it, Quentin. Thank you guys for the feedback. By the way, quick note, we do not have driver cams here tonight. Mentioned it to the drivers, but we have had A little bit of PC performance issues here, kind of deteriorating over the last month. So with that, we're going to be taking the PC in to get checked out here tomorrow, but I didn't want to have driver cams, and with the hope at least that it would help make the broadcast go a little bit smoother here tonight. So you won't have a chance to see your favorite drivers on cam this Monday, but they will be back next Monday. So hopefully you bear with me on that end of it. 3 of Jared Bundy. Well, I'll tell you what, Westford Jr., he has tracked him down, and he's going to be looking for a move here. As you see Tyler fighting with his teammate and his dad. And these two, they're going to be a little bit different when they're trying to pass each other. Right now, I don't think Jeff is going to press the issue too much because, well, the reality is he doesn't really have a reason to. They are catching. The difference is they're both running a different line. And so how that sets them up is actually pretty well because Tyler gets off the corner in front of Jeff, but Jeff has enough momentum where he can actually kind of tandem push his teammate. Ooh, boy, big corrections here already being made. You can see that car snapping out from under him, at least the back tires, as he tries to work his way through 3 and 4 on the top lane. 4th gear, and wow, that's interesting. You hear that thing just about revving out in 4th gear at the end of the straightaway. That'll help him in the long run. When the speeds start to slow down, he should get a little bit better acceleration off the corner still, but I wonder if that's maybe hindering him just a little bit right now. As Tyler Marble still running in the tracks of Westherd Jr., he'll try to dive just a little bit lower, get a little clean air on the nose of that 15 machine. And back at the front, Michael Mueller right now, I mean, he's trying to check out from the rest of the field. The problem is he's still got Alan Bajari right in his tire tracks. And then Austin Fitzgerald is not too far behind yet either. Tracy Powers, he's even still in this top 4 mix, all within a second of each other. So leaders have certainly, excuse me, I guess I should say the top 3 are within a second of each other. But I would say could still, leaders, they're all within reasonable range of each other. One brief slip up could certainly change the complexity of this race in terms of who catches who. But at least for now, with 18 of 134 laps complete, Michael Mueller has looked like the best car out of the gate. Had great short run speed. And right now, as we start to get a little bit later, about 20 laps complete, at this point, you know, the tires have certainly worn off at least a little bit. That car is still looking very, very fast. So this is exactly what Riot Motorsports wanted to see. Now, as we go towards the back of the pack, Anthony Hanley, not sure if he had issues, but currently not on track. Neither is Johnny McCulchuk. Not sure what happened to those two, but the driver, the number 72 for No Excuses Racing, and then the driver, the 98 for Riot Motorsports. Not a good start to this race. Johnny McCulchuk, a driver who's looking for points as he continues to see if he can find his way into that first round of the playoff, which continues to edge closer and closer as we near the end of the regular season. Jeffrey Souza back in 35th right now, and I don't know if he had an issue himself or if he's just struggling, but he is really, really off pace right now. Matthew Geiringer in 33rd, Caleb Patton in 32nd. And then Mark Sabak, the Canadian driver in the field tonight, he currently sits in that 31st position. And he's already actually made up a couple spots from where he started this race at as well. Glenn Grigsby. Danny Gutierrez on an island by himself in 29th. Brett Splod, 28th. There's Kenneth Bartholomew in 27th with Christian Loschin in that 26th spot. Ryan Shiro, 24th. Roger Shelton, 23rd. Greg Bartlett in 22nd. And you've got Cody Matthews, Thomas O'Hara. And how about Taya Polito and Thomas O'Hara right now side by side down the backstretch. Let's see who's going to get the prevailing corner right here. The 19's going to try to wrap the bottom, but he's not able to get it down there. That's going to allow the 07 to roll better momentum. And it actually kind of looked like, from that view at least, Ty may have had a little bit of damage on the right front of that race car. Let's see if we can see it here. Yeah, he does. You see that right at the right front there. That is not what it's supposed to look like. Thomas O'Hara, see how you can see that fender flare out even in front of the wheel? Can't see that as well here for the 19, so that indicates that he hit something. Question would be, was it the wall or was it another car? Either way, that's going to potentially affect the aero just a little bit on that 19 car, especially as the tire run goes on. Downforce becomes a little bit more important. But all 22 laps have been under green so far. Everybody doing a great job of getting adjusted. Again, this track, I would say most similarly, probably drives to Michigan. The difference is, though, it's half a mile shorter, and for that, speed's going to be a little bit slower. The turn's a little bit tighter, so it's a little bit trickier, and it certainly gets slick when the track temp is what it is here tonight at well over 100 degrees, 116 right now. But you can see the lead that Michael Mueller's trying to stretch out. He's got it up to almost half a second. And if you remember, the draft in general, pretty much any track we go to, goes all the way back to about a second and a half. And so once you can get, as a leader, over a second and a half lead, that's when you really can start to extend that gap, because you no longer have to worry about that car in second pulling any draft off of you. But look at this, Fitzgerald. He's looking to pass back on his teammate right here, and you wonder if the 74 was just dropping back early to try to save some tire, and now that We're about 24 laps in. He thinks it's go time, and he's going to start to push the pace here a little bit. See how much his teammate Alan Pajari decides to battle him here, but looks like that 74 will get clear. So turn our attention just a couple spots back to the next battle, which is the battle currently for that 4th position. And these two are actually catching the dynamic autosports duo of Fitzgerald and Pajari. That's Tracy Powers leading kind of in the middle of the top groove. Jared Bundy's trying to go a lane higher. He's got good momentum here. Is he going to take it to the bottom? No, he won't. He'll push the 25 off into turn 3 as Tyler Marble and Jeff Marble, they still stay in their same running order in 6th and 7th. And then Jeff Shutt, the next man in line, and Wesser Jr. has been heating up his back bumper for quite a little while. And it's kind of these packs of 3 to 4 for the most part, except for the second group, of course, which has a lot more cars. Tracy Powers and Alan Pajari. We'll see if... Ooh, Jared Bundy. Man, I think he wanted to slide up, but he just got really, really loose off the corner right there, trying to keep the car pinned on the inside while also trying to get a good exit. Just didn't work out too well. And we'll start watching some more in-car cameras as this race goes on to see just how bad the handling starts to get at the end of a fuel run. But I would assume we're probably nearing the halfway point in this first fuel run. Maybe, I don't know, 5 to 7 laps from now will be that halfway point. So still got a lot of work to do. And as a driver, if you already felt like, you've burned those rear tires off, it's going to be a pretty rude awakening here for the rest of this race, because these long runs, they're going to be brutal on tire wear. And as it stands right now, everybody has looked very smooth. We have not seen a lot of close calls, so certainly wouldn't rule out the chance for this race to have a lot of long green flag runs. Who knows? I don't know if it's happened this season yet, but you can never rule out the chance to potentially go the entire race under green. And I know guys like Jeff Marble, Tyler Marble, and even Austin Fitzgerald would certainly love for that to be the case. And you wonder, for the 99 of Michael Mueller, he's got that lead over half a second for now, but I think Austin Fitzgerald is getting ready to start trimming that lead down here in quite a hurry. Have to find out, though, eventually that clean air starts to prevail, and kind of regardless of how much tire you saved, it may not matter. But down the front stretch, notice how Fitzgerald doesn't cut the apron that time. He doesn't need to because he's pulling a draft off of this 99, and he doesn't want to go low because he's not going to get that draft. Now that he's back within half a second, that draft is going to really start to prevail here for him. As you see the 99 getting loose, the 74 does as well, but he is really starting to put the pressure on now as he'll continue to track down the 99 of Michael Mueller into turn number 3. Oh, and just as I spoke earlier, too soon because caution is out. We've got 2 of them in the wall. Looked like one was Greg Bartlett and the other is Cody Matthews in the 10 car. First caution of the night with 30 laps complete. Boy, that is heavy damage to the left front suspension for Cody Matthews. That's going to be a fast repair for sure. He's going to take it down to the apron. I think this car will be able to make it back to the pits. I mean, that's the good news. The bad news is you don't have a fast repair, so any damage, especially as major as it is for these two, it's going to be race ending, at least in terms of a competitive finish. It might just be kind of trying to, salvage any points that you can from here. But the real question is, what happens here? Let's back it up and first go to the chopper view. Now, Ryan Shiro is going to get wicked loose here off turn 2. This was one of the drivers that we actually saw struggling a little bit with handling earlier than a couple others. So again, Ryan Shiro's in the 20 car. Watch. As he gets off the turn here, back end's just going to start sliding out on him. And as it does, he's trying to correct it, but the problem is the car's just sliding down the racetrack, and 77 of Greg Bartlett's there. If he's not, who knows? Maybe the 20 saves it or spins down to the inside wall, but just wrong place, wrong time for Greg Bartlett as he gets hooked and goes straight into Cody Matthews. And you might notice there's no safer barrier along that outside retaining wall. That is all concrete. Well, it doesn't matter for driver safety as we're here in the sim. That's going to do maybe a little bit more damage than it would if it was a safer barrier here. So watch from TV1 again as there's Shiro get loose. And, I said he got loose here, which he certainly did. I guess the other question would be, does the 77 work up? And he might have here, but that's kind of a natural slide up. It was going to be close. It was certainly going to be really close here, but, I mean, it's definitely obvious that Ryan Shiro was loose. So, maybe there's still contact if he doesn't, but I kind of doubt it. I think the 77 would have straightened out. And I think that's just really hard racing in the middle of 3 wide on older tires for Ryan Shiro, and just the way things went here, but get a couple more angles of it. That's a big hit for the 77 too. You saw a couple tires come off the ground just momentarily before it set back down. And even for the 10 of Cody Matthews, Not the way he wanted to start this race either. And boy, that was a close call right at the end there. There's the contact into that concrete wall. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a closer view here of this again. Let's show you that hit in slow motion for Cody Matthews right there as that car gets pinched into the wall. That's what breaks that left front suspension that you see there. And then for Greg Bartlett, it's a little bit more of a straight shot into the wall, so he's going to have to worry more on the side of aero and engine damage, where for Cody Matthews, boy, it was unfortunately not the best of the both worlds there, because he got damage in the front and damage in the suspension as well. And watch this from the cockpit view here for Cody Matthews. I mean, he's going to see this, and in his defense, he's going to have absolutely nowhere to go. Just kind of that blindside hit. Lucky that nobody else was collected, though. Just these two cars as you hear him grinding along the fence. So as we go back live, looks like Greg Bartlett actually got a pretty good amount of damage on this car fixed up. Cody Matthews not in the same boat. That thing is still destroyed as he continues to sit in the pits. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a night ender for him, but tough break to say the least. Back up front we go. The 74 of Austin Fitzgerald currently being scored as your leader. The 99 of Michael Mueller in second with Alan Pajari back in third. Jared Bundy fourth with Tracy Powers in fifth. Jeff Marble sixth. Tyler Marble seventh. Jake Hickson in eighth. GT Hawkins in ninth. And Jeff Shutt for No Excuses Racing currently rounds out your top 10. All right, getting a couple things set up. So as we get ready to go back green right here, should see the lights go off on the pace car this time. That would indicate the 1 to go signal. Yep, sure enough. So they'll get lined back up. 2 by 2, it'll be Fitzgerald on the inside, then Michael Mueller on the outside. Row 2 is going to be Alan Pajari and Jared Bundy. And then back in row number 3, it's going to be, looks like Jeff Marble and either Tracy Powers or Tyler Marble. You can see that far back from that camera view. Yep, Tracy Powers and Jeff Marble. And then Tyler just a spot behind that. Jake Hickson, he's working his way through the field. You know he's going to be up here pretty soon as well. But we still got a long ways to go. When we get the restart here, it's going to be 101 laps still remaining in this race. Now, you know, 100 laps still goes by, I would say, relatively quick, but we're not at the point where you can make it on one stop just yet. So I don't think anybody's going to be getting too anxious just yet. But certainly restarts, whether it's at the beginning of the race or the end of the race, always important because you never know what's going to be the last one. All these races tend to have a different, they have a different tendency, if you will. Some like to go green, a lot of long runs. Some of them like to be filled with cautions. Some of them get cautions once we start to get cautions. So it's all going to depend, but here we go. Time to find out. What's Austin Fitzgerald want to do this time? Does he try to maintain the track position? Or does he give it up again? Let's see if we can get into a long run. Here we go. Green flag is back in the air. That's Chicago. Through the gears they go. Austin Fitzgerald gets a great start. The 99 of Mueller is going to match him pretty well, though. As they climb the banking into turn number 1, Alan Pajari is going to try to see if he can slot in front of this 3 car. We'll see if he's able to make it work. Oh, Jeff Marble. Hold on to it. Boy, that was a big catch by the 15, and he might have even tapped the wall there coming off of turn 2. Wow, that was a really close call for Jeff. You saw he was walking that car up the track to save it, which it looked like he initially did, but we talk about handling the long run. You got to remember, when these cars are on cold tires, it's certainly tricky then as well, and I would have expected that everybody came in to take 4 tires during that first caution, and that would certainly explain some of the issues right there. Single filing out through your front 5, though, and then further back, when they start to get 2 and 3 wide, that's where things are getting dicey right now. Andrew Russo, is he going to look to the inside right here into turn 3? Thought about it, but there's not going to be anything there, not yet at least. Kenneth Bartholomew currently sits just in front of 42 of Roger Shelton, just behind. And then how about Brandon Saylor? See, it looks like he's going to give a pretty big push to the 17, I believe that is, of Kyle Oakley down the front stretch. Yep, sure enough, that is 17 machine. Jeff Shutt just in front of him. And then Wesser Jr., boy, look at the ground he is making up along the outside of the racetrack. And again, that's the lane you go with, especially if you're trying to make a lot of time, trying to run as fast as you can. The problem is it wears out tires a lot quicker. So we'll see if Wesser Jr. is maybe just trying to pick off a couple positions and then jump back in line for now, or if he's committed to trying to take this top lane as far as it'll go before his tires give out. Onboard view now with Wesser Jr. Again, working the outside. We'll go a spot just behind, though. And take the onboard angle now with Tyler Marble. And watch the different lines. That's one of the things that all these drivers do love about Chicagoland is all the different lanes you can run. You can hook the bottom, you can run the middle, and then especially when the run wears on, you can even run the top. And, I mean, every lane is better at different times, and depending on how you can make it work, depends on which one's going to be the fastest. And right now, whatever lane Austin Fitzgerald's running certainly seems to be the fastest because he continues to lead the way. Michael Mueller, though, doing that same thing that he did during the start of the race where he's just putting pressure on the 74, and I would not be shocked if in the next handful of laps or so, if this 99 stays where he is, he might try to make a pass on Fitzgerald. But what I do think is interesting here is Fitzgerald kind of did this last time. He held the 99 off for, maybe a handful of laps, maybe a couple more, and then he let the 99 go. And so I wonder here if Fitzgerald's okay with just trying to hold him off for a couple laps, make him use up a little bit of tire, then let him go. Let him go, let him try to extend that lead, maybe burn up a little bit more tire, and then try to start to track him down once we get into the longer portion of these runs. And we'll see if that's what he does here, but look at this. The 34 of Alan Pajari is actually going to sneak to the outside. He might be looking to go 3 wide here or just make a pass on his teammate through 3 and 4. He's got a lot of momentum here. He's going to have to decide what to do with it. Slid up behind Fitzgerald, but it looks like he's going to go ahead and stay there for now. He'll get to the outside, though, down the front stretch. This is going to put him 2 wide. Here comes the 99, and now the 5 of GT Hawkins. Boy, where did the rookie come from? He's out 5 positions from where he started this race at. And all of a sudden, he has found a ton of speed here with 40 laps complete. Fitzgerald's going to jump back up in line, and for Mueller, boy, this is not working out now. He went from first all the way back to third. Now he's going to slip back to fourth, and yeah, that's a smart move right there. Just let him go, try to drop in line, regain some rhythm here, because he is losing way too many spots way too quickly. As Alan Pajari takes the lead, he'll now look to see if he can extend the gap here on his teammate Austin Fitzgerald, who currently sits in second. And you've got GT Hawkins back in third, Michael Mueller fourth, and Wesser Jr. still rounding out your top 5. Still mostly single file throughout the field. A couple passes being made, especially back towards the mid to late teens and early 20s positions. And you saw Roger Shelton there trying to duck to the inside of Jacob Musso. See if there's anything doing right here. As the 42, he's got a little bit cleaner air, but that 95, he just gets so much momentum off the corner that even with the draft right here, I mean, look at Roger Shelton. He is still slowly fading. Finally starts to even out towards the end of the front stretch, but of course by that point, you're not going to be able to make any more moves. And so that's a nice piece of driving right there by Jacob Musso, kind of playing that defense by running the high lane, taking away the preferred groove, if you will. As we continue to work through this race, 42 of 134 laps complete in the Chicagoland 200. And Alan Pajari has got his gap up to almost 0.7 of a second. And that tells me that he is running a very, very fast pace. The trade-off is he's going to get a big gap, sure. But once those tires start to wear off, or Fitzgerald decides to flip the switch and head forward, that gap's probably going to decimate pretty quick with how fast he's trying to run right now. But the 34, he's got a good season going, but he is still due for a win. Remember, he got the job done last season at Auto Club, which does have a couple similar features to what we could see here at Chicagoland, including a couple bumps, and then, of course, the high-speed 1.5 mile and overs, that track being a 2 mile, but still a similar D shape. So we see here at Chicagoland. So now you can see Pajari's gap is up to over 0.8 of a second down the front stretch, and Fitzgerald and GT Hawkins have swapped positions, but they are going to try to get organized here. Wesser Jr. hindering that, though, now, because he'll look to the outside off of turn 2. Does he have any momentum to make it work? Here comes Jake Hickson, and if Jake Hickson can get around, this could start to set up a 1-2-3 running order, potentially for Dynamic Autosports, depending on how the rest of the run shapes up. But GT Hawkins, boy, once he got by, he must be putting the loud pedal down pretty early as well, because he is starting to track down Alan Pajari from 0.8 back. He's now got it to 0.7 that time into turn 1. And all this going on, remember, when we went back green, we said it was exactly 101 laps to go. You figure that pit stop's right about 60. That gives you maybe 40 laps or so to go when we do decide to go back green, if I had to guess. Or excuse me, did that math wrong. We said they can make it about 60 laps. That gives you right around, well, the fuel window itself, I think, would open maybe right around 60 laps. Coming towards the finish, so maybe lap 70s. In the 70s is when you can make that stop, but if you wanted to play it safe, maybe you try to stretch it closer to 90. We'll just have to find out, because, again, right now we're not exactly sure what the fuel window is looking like. But we do have a brief idea, and it's going to be interesting to see if anybody tries any short pitting strategies or if everybody stays on the same page for it. You can see GT Hawkins, he is still tracking this 34 down. He's got the gap now under half a second. Wesser Jr. still pulling in that draft. Jake Hickson up the track. He's looking for a little bit more as well. And Fitzgerald has now fallen all the way back to that 5th position. He is 1.2 seconds behind your leader. Tracy Powers is there as well. And then Jared Bundy and Michael Mueller on the inside. They're going against Tyler Marble here, who's trying to do it by himself on the outside. He's got momentum, and he will get clear of this 3. We'll see what he decides to do here on Tracy Powers. Does he look for another move into 3? No, he doesn't. He'll stay patient for now as, man, Michael Mueller almost, if didn't quite get into Jared Bundy right there, and that got that 3 car really upset. Knocked him slightly out of the groove, and now the 99 is going to try to take advantage. Jeff Marble will as well. He goes to the apron. They almost went 3 wide, but they'll get it back down to 2. Jeff Marble on the inside here. There's the 3 of Jared Bundy, just a spot in front. Alan Pajari still looking really, really good so far tonight. As I know that gap kind of closed down pretty quick to 0.3, but once it hit that point, certainly not closing up nearly as fast anymore. So if you're Alan Pajari at this point, you know, do you try to start to manage those tires a little bit? Do you try to stretch them out, or do you just keep pushing the pace? I mean, he knows it's working, but eventually those tires are going to give out. I guess maybe if you have an idea of when you're going to pit, that can help decide when you want to really push the issue. Maybe Pajari's going to pit as soon as that fuel window opens, so he's okay with pushing the issue, versus a guy like Austin Fitzgerald who wants to pit last so that he's got the freshest tires. Who knows, maybe he pits the last of all the leaders. Just have to find out. Fitzgerald is closing that gap just a little bit now as GT Hawkins is actually starting to fade here a bit. Jake Hickson looking for a move here on the inside down the front stretch, and he will get it. Nice move right there from Jake Hickson. That now puts Dynamic Autosports back to 1-2. They might have 1-2-3 here shortly if Fitzgerald can get past a couple more of them. Remember, I know he fell back, and, it kind of looks like, they're just struggling, but I still think there's a chance that was intentional. Fitzgerald falling back, because we saw it in the first run, and I think we might be seeing it again here, where he's just saving tire. I mean, he knows how important it's going to be, so he's saving tire, wait until it's towards the end when it's important, and then he's going to start to push that issue a little bit more. Now, for guys like Jeff Marble, maybe they're starting to push the issue just a little bit right now, but still trying to save a little bit in the tank as well. Oh, Scott Glasso, he's getting really loose. Hold on to it. Man, what a save from the 4 of Scott Glasso. That was a big moment. You saw him laying down his own smoke and tire tracks coming off of turn 2 as he was on the inside trying to get the throttle down, and boy, that could have been really bad for the 4 if he would have spun out or even overcorrected for that matter. But it's interesting because the 2 times that we've had, I would say close calls, if you will here tonight, neither of them were cautions. We had one for a different issue for the caution, but they've both been in turn 1 with just a driver on the inside trying to keep the throttle down and getting really, really loose. And Scott Glasso, I'm sure that probably calmed his aggression level down just a little bit, at least for a few laps here after what he just saw. Now look at this. Pajari, his lead has all of a sudden gone away. Here comes Jake Hickson, his rookie teammate. He'll be looking to go by the outside. What is GT Hawkins going to do? Going into turn 1, side by side, 2 teammates. The 5, he's got a gap in the middle here. Is he going to try to take it? GT Hawkins looking to split the middle, but he's not going to be able to do it that time. Pajari will slide in line as now Jake Hickson goes to the point for the first time here tonight. He has already found victory lane twice, 2 super speedways to kick off the season, but he's looking to see if he can maybe make it happen a 3rd time at a non-super speedway, of course, if he can get the win here tonight. The driver out of Harrison, Tennessee, now leads the way with 81 laps to go. And so what we're going to do is take our first break of the night, but we will go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Hickson, Pajari, and Hawkins still lead the way here at Chicagoland. Welcome back to Chicagoland Speedway. 59 of 134 laps complete here in the Chicagoland 200. Still leading the way is Jake Hickson. Boy, he took it over relatively recently, but again, this seems to be the trend here, at least in this second run so far. After that caution, is whoever gets out in front seems to be creating a gap pretty quickly now. How long that gap will last, that's the big question, because look at this. Tyler Marble is starting to try to track down this 16 now as he's moved to second. You've got Wes Hurd Jr., who's moved up to third. Austin Fitzgerald, though, on the other hand, a driver that we thought would be moving up right about this time, he seems to be struggling here a little bit. Now, I do think that we're about 10 to 15 laps away from that fuel window opening to make it to the finish. And so it's going to be very interesting here to see if anybody maybe tries to short pit it, try to get that clean air, maybe conserve tires a little bit, and then maybe try to play defense. But I mean, without a caution, this is going to be a really interesting setup in terms of strategy to the finish, simply for tire wear, not even for fuel. I mean, we know we're set for one stop on fuel to make it to the finish, but the big question is still about how tire wear is going to look, and I'm just not sure right now. I still think it's kind of in the game of, or really anybody's game, if you will, because, I mean, we're just now, we're not even at the halfway point in this race just yet, and we've already seen almost a handful of lead changes, and Jake Hickson, I mean, he is up 15 positions from where he started this race at. He came out of nowhere to find his way to the lead, but since he got there, well, he just continues to look like he is on rails as he continues to separate himself from second place Tyler Marble. That gap is now at 0.8 of a second as they had crossed the line that time. Wes Hurd Jr. back in third, and Fitzgerald still fighting hard, it looks like, just to hold on to fourth right now. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just a handling issue for that 74 or if, maybe he burned more tire off than he initially thought he did, but it's very, very interesting to see after he kind of faded back after the short part of that run. But, Wes Hurd Jr., how about a tip of the cap to what he's done? We saw him at the start of this run. He was being very, very aggressive on the top lane, and usually when we see that, it's an issue in the sense of, you're going to wear your tires out quicker and then fall back, but that's not been the case here. Not for Wes Hurd Jr. He continues to look very, very strong. Running towards the front of the field is a couple of brief issues here. And, this is some of the PC issues that I was mentioning. So if we go down briefly here, just stick with me just in case we do. We'll come back up in a couple minutes, but that's why you are seeing some of the static right now, so I do apologize. So as we go back further, though, still 2x2 for a couple of positions towards the end of the top 10. It's GT Hawkins. Boy, he has really, really faded back after what looked like another car that was going to be going to the front, and it did go to the front for a little while, all the way up to second, as a matter of fact. But now, you see, he just got into the outside wall there off of turn 2. He's really, really struggling for grip, and that number 5 Toyota Camry, as the number 7 of Christian Loschin goes by on the outside, but 5's going to try to fight back here through 3 and 4. Tracy Power still on the inside, and boy, GT Hawkins, he was really sliding up the racetrack right there. It was everything he could do, it looked like, to keep it down. So now, 66 laps complete, and I'm talking about pit stops. If this is the money stop, you got to start thinking about setting yourself up right now. What do you want to take? I would assume the call is 4 tires and fuel. Oh, there goes GT Hawkins. Boy, he had been loose, and he finally loses it as he's going to go through the grass here down the backstretch. Not going to bring out a caution. He does hold on to it, but that detour is going to cost him all sorts of positions. And we'll see if he just chooses to take it to the pits right here for his service, or if he decides to stay out. Yeah, he's going to stay out. I was going to say, I feel like he kind of has to here to keep himself on the lead lap. But man, that car is really, really struggling. That might be a sign for the rest of the field, too, of handling issues to come here over the course of the next 10 to 15 laps. It's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. And we are now officially halfway through 100 of 200 miles complete, 67 of 134 laps complete. Jeff Marble, by the way, sits back in that 6th position as he's trying to apply some pressure here to the 12 of Wes Hurd Jr. Kyle Oakley for SWM Motorsports. He's side by side right now with the No Excuses racing driver entry of Jeff Shutt. See, he briefly disappeared. Oh, and he is back. Not sure what happened there with the 27, but Tyler Marble, he is still tracking down the 16. The gap has now closed from under 0.8 of a second to under half a second for the 48. As we hop on board to show you all you need to see here, the difference in lines through the corner. And let's go to the dashboard speed. Remember, this is on old tires, and these cars are still hitting near 190 miles an hour going into turn 1, so those speeds are probably over 190 on a new tire run, especially with all the drafting that you get. And as they go down the back here, going to see similar speeds into turn 3, a little bit less, about mid-180s. And then he's taking the inside. Jake Hickson on the outside. Remember, I said this at the tip of the broadcast. If you save tires, you're going to be able to still hook that white line on the bottom of the racetrack late in the run, and that was, at least in a Truck Series race, what the fastest drivers were able to do. Jake Hickson has moved to the top. The car looks relatively comfortable up there, but he's not as fast. That's part of the reason he's probably shifted up there, so that the car does feel comfortable. Tyler Marble taking advantage by wrapping that white line at least through 3 and 4. A lot better than this 16 can. We'll see here. He's going to be looking for a pass here. How hard does Jake Hickson fight him for it? Jake's still on the outside. Doesn't see the 48 alongside his window just yet. They're going to be side by side down the front stretch, though, and now this has brought in multiple others into the battle. Here comes the 74 of Austin Fitzgerald and the 3 of Jared Bundy. Jared Bundy, another driver who's looking to make a return to victory lane, found it once at Texas, should have found it twice at Charlotte, so he certainly knows how to find victory lane here at these mile-and-a-halfs, but here tonight, he's showing a lot of speed here as we've gotten into the long run, and Tyler Marble, he needs to make this pass soon because Fitzgerald and Bundy, now that they have arrived, you know they're going to be fighting for the lead, and Jeff Marble, he might be able to get up here as well. As look at this. I mean, you would think we're at Daytona or Talladega as they go by the line 2 by 2, and a 4-car battle, if you will, for the lead continues. This would be interesting if positions were swapped, because then Fitzgerald could try to help keep his teammate up there. Jared Bundy, though, I thought he got into the outside wall. Yeah, he must have, because he lost a little bit of momentum there, even being on the outside. And so here we go. Now is Tyler Marble. Boy, he really knows he needs to get clear here, because he just saw Fitzgerald. Yep, he'll get it. I was going to say, he just saw Fitzgerald jump up behind the 16, and if they were going to stay even, Fitzgerald was going to be able to just push his teammate down the straightaways, and it would have been a really tough pass for that 48. But now that he's got the clean air, he's going to have to still go to work here on trying to fend off this 74 of Austin Fitzgerald, because he looks mighty fast right now, and he looks like he wants the lead here with 73 laps complete. Well, Tyler Marble found his way to the lead on the inside, but interestingly enough, he has decided to transition up to the high side. Good lane to play defense, especially if you can just stay in front till exit of the corner. He got a huge run right there, goes all the way down to the apron. But Fitzgerald stayed high. He got a push from his teammate. Because of that, he's able to close that gap right back up. And how about this? I certainly didn't expect this coming into tonight for the kind of battling that we would see here at Chicagoland. It's not a track that's necessarily known for these kind of battles this late in the run, but man, oh man, we have got a 5-car battle for the lead. And Wes Hurd Jr., let me tell you, he's not too far behind either. Jeff Marble, Jared Bundy, they are still some of the guys that are looking to kind of pounce right here. I think Jake Hickson is just trying to kind of hold on until we can get to this final pit stop. And then Tyler Marble has now lost the lead to Austin Fitzgerald. And so he's going to have to try to regroup here as well and see if he can't go back to work on this 74. But, I mean, I am still just... I'm kind of shocked, even up here in the booth, as many races as we've seen. As long as Fitzgerald waited before he started trying to make his way to the front, there is no chance I would have thought it would have been as easy as it was for him to work through all this traffic at this late in a tire run. But he must have been saving a whole lot more than we thought for him to fall as far back as he did and look as, I don't want to say slow, but look like he was struggling as much as he did. And it was, in reality, potentially him just saving tire and waiting until everybody else got done with the battling and already used up their stuff. Here goes Jeff Marble. He'll jump to the high side. The 12 of Wes Hurd Jr. He's going to be looking to give it a little bit of a push to the 15 down the backstretch. And so, mind you, this is all happening up front. And if you see the track map, it starts to get a bit scattered after that. And then you've got another pretty decent-sized group back here that is currently being led by Brian Conklin, the 37. Alloy wheel repair specialist Chevy Camaro. He sits up a spot from where he started this race at, but he's leading kind of this cluster that consists of a couple rookies. Kenneth Bartholomew, one of them. Looks like Michael Mueller's back here as well. Jeffrey Souza, not a rookie, but still one of the drivers back here fighting, as is Ryan Haynes. 42 of Roger Shelton, Ryan Shiro. And for Michael Mueller, he's got to be thinking, man, what in the world here? The amount of short run speed he had, boy, it has just not translated into the longer run at all. And Fitzgerald is really starting to create a gap now. He's got it up to almost 9/10 of a second. I believe that might be fighting for potentially the biggest gap that we've seen anybody create here tonight. So we'll see what Fitzgerald can do. Still rolling the bottom very, very well, as you see everybody else in the background there working to the high side. And watch this. We're going to go to the rear chase. Let's see in 3 and 4 here what everybody else does in comparison to what Fitzgerald does. So the 74 goes to the bottom. You see Tyler, he made the adjustment, saw what the 74 is doing. He's going to try to wrap the bottom as well. A couple more beyond that, but then you saw 2 of the drivers on the top, including Wesser Jr. and Jake Hickson. They're still rolling the top. And again, that's just, I think, them trying to hold on. That's where the car feels the most comfortable. And Tyler Marble, he made that adjustment, but unfortunately, it's just not working out too well. And that's not to say he made the wrong adjustment. I just think Fitzgerald was saving something that none of these guys were expecting him to. So as we go back all the way towards the back of the field, I know we had a chance to talk about some of the drivers in the middle portions of the group, but Cody Matthews, Caleb Patton, both not sitting on the lead lap. In fact, Cody Matthews is the last car on track at all. Caleb Patton, it looks like, may have retired from this race. Danny Gutierrez, the last car on the lead lap with 80 of 134 complete. Fitzgerald continues to lead the way, and now we continue to get closer and closer to that final pit stop. Now remember, from when we went back green, which was lap 34, I would say that all these drivers should be able to make it to right around 94, would be my guess at the longest, at least in terms of the fuel. I'm not sure if the tires hold up that long, but if you're Austin Fitzgerald here, I mean, I think he's set. I hate to say that in terms of, I don't want to jinx him by any means, but unless we get a caution, I think this 74 is set, because with the gap that he's already created here, and as close as we're getting to the pit stops, I'll tell you exactly what he's going to do. He's going to pit last of everybody. As I mentioned, pit stops, they're underway now, and so maybe they're not going to quite stretch it to that 94-ish lap mark, as Tyler Marble's the first of them to bring it in. Looks like Brandon Saylor, Brian Conklin do the same. Todd Shiro is going to drive into his pit box as well. Again, this should be the final service, and this is actually splitting it a little bit more towards the kind of in half mark. We'll see as, Austin Fitzgerald brings it in here. Wow, this is a lot earlier than I would have expected for your leader. Oh my goodness, this is quite the shock. Michael Mueller, Roger Shelton, and Andrew Russo, they are all in as well, but the big story right here is Austin Fitzgerald bringing it down to the pits from the lead. And man, with the gap he had, and he made a mistake. You saw that there. He overshot his pit box a little bit. He's still going to take 4 tires, and that lead may save him right here, but I'm just really surprised that he's pitting as early as he is. I would think the goal would be to go to at least lap 84 if you wanted to make it, kind of that halfway point. 50 laps, and then it'll be 50 laps to the finish any sooner. I don't know about this call for Fitzgerald. I think he was in a good position to pit last, but not sure if fuel was hindering him or what the deal was. Bajari, Wesser Jr., Kyle Oakley, Brett Spott, Ryan Haynes, Christopher Hall, GT Hawkins, they all make their way down to the pits now. And so that just leaves Jake Hickson, Jacob Musso, Christian Lostian, Scott Glasso, Tracy Powers, Jeffrey Souza, Ryan Shiro, Thomas O'Hara, and Mark Sabak. Actually making a couple others, Matthew Geiringer and Ty Iopolito, even Glenn Grigsby. So still 14 cars that have not made their pit stop yet, that are still sitting out on track. We're waiting to see them make this final stop. And Jake Hickson, maybe this is a turnaround for him, because at this rate, he's going to have much fresher tires. I say much, at least a couple laps fresher tires, as he is going to bring it in this time right here. But he'll still have a couple laps worth fresher tires than everybody else. And that's going to be a pretty big advantage for him. We'll see if that's what he needed. The short pit strategy is going to kind of create a lot of ground that he's going to have to make up, but again, he'll have fresher tires to do that. So this has certainly become quite the interesting strategy race. Remember, we've only had 1 caution so far. So every other, I would say about 80 of 85 laps that we've ran here tonight have been under green, and we're just under 50 to go, and it's looking like those last 50 could be in the same spot. And with how much lead changing and battling that we saw towards the end of the tire run right there, that's why I keep saying that this one's certainly going to get interesting. Is, the way they cycle out here, Tyler Marble is your leader, but realistically, this probably isn't going to last. Austin Fitzgerald is working his way into turn 1 as Tyler Marble works his way onto the backstretch. But that 74 is on fresher tires. Jeff Marble, Jeff Shutt, Jared Bundy, they're all chasing the 74. And so Jake Hickson, let's see where he comes out in relation to the leader, because I think it's going to be between him, his teammate, and then the 48 as well of Tyler Marble, as Mark Sabak brings it in. So here's Jake Hickson still. He should be about up to full speed now. He gets off at turn 4 as Austin Fitzgerald is just now working his way into turn 1. So that gap between those two we can actually tell you what it is. It's about 6 seconds. Yeah, just a little bit less, about 5.8 seconds. The ground that Jay Kickson has to make up. And remember, getting to somebody and then trying to make a pass are two very, very different things. So we'll see how this all pans out. But for Tyler Marble right now, this is going to be him trying to drive, save a little bit of tire, and hopefully maintain this clean air for the last 46 laps or so. At least that's certainly what he has in mind. All right, well, we are going to take another break, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. 88 laps complete in the Chicagoland 200. Welcome back to Chicagoland Speedway. 93 of 134 laps complete. And you notice we're not back to full screen just yet because we do have a couple things that we need to talk about before we get there. First thing is what the regular season points are looking like currently. And right now, Austin Fitzgerald, I mean, that shouldn't be too much of a surprise with the season that he is putting together right now. The amount of wins that he's racked up, you knew that it was going to accumulate to quite a bit of points in. I know we've just got regular season standings up, but of course he leads in the playoff standings. Well, currently leads, you know, in terms of he is first in the overall standings, so he would be first once we enter the playoffs for now. And that's because he's got, again, 7 wins on the seasons. Quentin Clark sits second in the playoff standings, but you notice in the regular season he's back in 5th. Jeff Marble second in the regular season standings. Ty Iopolito back in 3rd. Tyler Marble 4th. Quentin Clark 5th. Jay Kickson in 6th. Michael Mueller 7th with Jeff Shutt in 8th. Thomas O'Hara 9th. Scott Glasso rounding out your top 10. Looking at the upcoming schedule for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series next Monday, we're going to head to Richmond Raceway, the second race of the season that we will be at that track, 200 laps there. And then we head back to some of the bigger tracks, Michigan International Speedway for 100 laps at the Irish Hills. That's going to be a fun one. Looking forward to that. And then off under the lights at Daytona International Speedway for 80 laps. And that will be the second to last race before the playoffs. Then we head to Darlington for the final race, the cutoff race, to make it to the round of 16. First race in the playoffs is going to be Atlanta, followed by Watkins Glen on September 16th. And then you've got Bristol. That'll be the night race. And then Kansas, Talladega on October 7th. And the Charlotte Roval will be on October 14th. So pretty good chunk of the schedule. I remember just about maybe a month, maybe a little bit more than that ago, we were in the part of the season where a lot of drivers aren't too much of a fan of it. It's kind of a technical portion, but we got a lot of tracks that a lot of drivers like, especially drivers who, maybe they don't like the short tracks. Maybe they're not a fan of the more technical tracks, but they like the big fast tracks. And I mean, Michigan and Daytona, that's two that come to mind where I can think about half of the drivers in this field that have a great shot at winning that race. It could certainly change the playoff picture. But here tonight, Ty Iopolito, right now being scored as your leader. Now, he has not made I don't think he's made he either hasn't made his last pit stop or he made it just ridiculously early, but he hasn't made it yet because he is bringing it down now. So this will officially be the last car that has to make a pit stop. So as Ty brings it in, this will hand the lead over to Tyler Marble. And now the race is on. Your top three, those are going to be the ones to keep an eye on here. Actually, I take that back. We'll go even further than that. But right now, your top two, Austin Fitzgerald in second and Tyler Marble leading the way. The gap is a second, but there are still a lot of laps left. Jeff Marble, he's still hanging around as well, as is Wesser Jr., Jared Bundy, even Alan Pajari. Michael Mueller back in ninth, but Jake Hickson in seventh. He was the other car that I was, kind of saying we need to keep an eye on here. Now, he hasn't really made a bunch of progress since he came out, and I think there could be a couple reasons for this. I think the one that I'm going with is I think he's still saving some tire. I'm hoping that this car really just kind of comes to life with speed towards the end as a result. I mean, it seemed like that's what worked for him in that last run, but the problem is he just may not have enough time because right now the gap between him and Tyler Marble is over 6 seconds. Now, he is gaining on that, but, you figure in what's about to be 35 laps, that is still quite a long time to, or excuse me, not a lot of time to make up what seems like a lot of time. See how it pans out, though, for him here. This will be the lap 100 mark. When they cross the stripe this time, Tyler Marble continues to lead. And I talked about the fact that Fitzgerald is tracking him down here. In fact, we're going to look at the lap time difference for Tyler and Austin. Now, what I will say here is that while Tyler has been running slower each and every lap, because, of course, Austin's got fresher tires, that's going to get tougher in terms of Austin's not going to make up as much time as each lap goes by here. And then once he actually gets to him, then it gets really interesting, and it gets tricky as, Jeff Marble wiggling all over the place here. Hold on to it. The 15 with a big catch, and now this could open the door here to Jeff Shutt. What does the 27 decide to do here? Is he going to look to the inside? Yes, he will. Jeff Shutt looking for a position here on Jeff Marble in 1 and 2. Can he get the job done? No, he can't. Jeff Marble's going to stay up top. He'll have enough momentum here to roll clear down the backstretch. But what I was kind of the point I want to finish on there was, I mean, if you're Austin Fitzgerald here, you got to catch him soon because even once you get there, trying to make the pass on him is going to be really, really tough, especially if you're only, say, maybe 1/100 of a second, well, maybe not that much, or maybe not quite that little, but maybe, half a tenth quicker a lap. It's going to take a while to make that gap or to try to get by him. It's not going to be easy, especially if Tyler's been saving a little tire and he's able to play defense. So if you're Austin Fitzgerald, he's got that gap down now to 7/10 of a second, actually just a little bit under. I think he's going to get to him here probably within the next handful of laps. But then it's going to be a matter of, again, what does he do with them? And if you're Tyler, you're going to have to fight for all you're worth. He's already got a couple wins on the season, one at a road course, and then one, of course, at the Brickyard. So for Tyler Marble, I don't think he's too worried about if things don't work out, but certainly would like to continue the streak of good finishes. As we go further back here, and you can see the separation, not only in the different camera views, but even the track map. Looks like we're at Bristol and Martinsville right now. We've got cars all over the track, and that's just a result of the spread that's kind of formed up due to all the strategy that's coming to play. So we're approaching 30 laps to go. Once we hit 25, maybe even 20, if you will, that's when it really starts to become crunch time. 74, he's still not there yet. He's got it down almost half a second. There was a brief mistake right there from Tyler Marble. You saw him just clip the wall. And, Austin Fitzgerald, I think I don't even want to call it a flaw. I mean, this guy has been lights out the favorite so far this season when it comes to who's going to win that championship when we get towards November. But, I mean, looking to the only thing that maybe he would, probably say that he needs to work on is there's been a couple times where he's had the speed, but he gets in his own head and he starts over-driving the race car. And this is a position where it is very easy to do that because you see that car in your windshield and you see it getting bigger and bigger because you're tracking him down. And so if you're Austin Fitzgerald right here, don't overthink it. He knows he's got the speed, and he's going to start making Tyler make these mistakes. And you know what? I'm going to say the same thing here for Tyler, but in a little bit of a different way. You've got the lead right now. You've got clean air. Worst case scenario here, you're still looking at probably a good chance at a top 3 to a top 5 finish. So just run as consistent as you can. Try to, maybe take a little bit of clean air away from that 74 if you can see what line he's taking in your mirror. And then once he gets close, just don't make a mistake. Make him do the hard work to get around you. It's going to help you out a lot more than if you make a mistake and let him just blow right by, because the reality of it here, if you're Tyler Marble, is you know that once that 74 gets there, if he gets by, you're probably not catching him again, at least not without a caution and a chance to go down and take some more tires. So, interestingly enough, this track, by the way, did replace what would have been the Chicago Street Course, so that would have been a track where I'm sure Tyler may have had a little bit better luck at. Of course, one of the road course favorites in the series. But look at this. I mean, we're closing up on what could be another 4-car battle for the lead late in the run, because look up top, Jeff Marble, I think he has decided it might be go time now as he started to turn on the jets a little bit. And he is now putting the pressure on the 74 of Austin Fitzgerald. Jeff Shutt, he's kind of creeping in the background. He might be waiting to see if these three can get all next to each other, get tangled up, and maybe he can take advantage of a mistake. It seems like Tyler right now is a little bit better through 3 and 4, but man, Fitzgerald just tracks him down through turn 1 and 2. It seems like that's the corner that if you have fresher tires, you're going to make the most time up at, but he's slipping a little bit, and I'm telling you, Jeff Marble being on his back bumper is not helping him make these corners any better. Now, 3 and 4, a little bit of a slower corner, and Tyler's actually been doing a really, really good job here of holding a really consistent line. He looks very smooth, kind of straddling that first seam. But Fitzgerald now gets it within 0.3 of a second, almost within 0.2 of a second, as we will be approaching 25 laps to go, and they cross the stripe next time around. Oh my goodness, man. Jeff Marble, I know he wants to add a second win to the season. Fitzgerald wants to keep the hot streak going. Tyler wants another one. But then you look back to Wesser Jr., even Jared Bundy, who's now bringing himself back into the picture. Bundy's got a win. But you know who doesn't? Jeff Shutt. And boy, he has been so close so many times. It's been a mix of mistakes on his end, and then a mix of bad luck as well. So he wants it pretty bad, and that's what I'm saying here is it's going to be a mess, because you have got 4, 5, make it 5 drivers all battling for the win. And here we go. Austin Fitzgerald's going to look to the outside. Off of turn 2, Tyler Marble gets loose. He can't hold it, and the 74 will take over the lead with 25.5 laps to go. Tyler Marble's going to try to fend off, and yep, here you go. He's going to start over driving it. You got to be careful here. Well, I'll tell you what, he did drive it in deep. It worked out well in the sense of he did get right back around the 15. We'll see here if Jeff Marble can get around his teammate here pretty quickly, or if he tries to settle down and just sit behind him. I don't think Jeff's wanting to do that here, and in fact, looked like he may have just barely scraped the wall that time coming out of the tri-oval. Jeff Shutt looking to the inside of Jared Bundy further back. Bundy has really found a lot of speed late in the run here, but he's got 3 cars that are not that far off pace of what he's running in front. That's a lot of work to do here with just 23 laps to go. Fitzgerald's trying to stretch that gap out. Tyler does look like he has started to settle down into that second spot. All right, look at this. Jake Hickson, he's now up to 6th. The gap between him and the leader is now down to almost 3 seconds. So that gap has shaved off about half the time it was when we last checked. So I know he's still got a lot of ground to make up. I still don't know if I would say it's enough time with the amount of laps left, but again, you cannot count out this 16 just yet. Boy, if we get a caution, I would say at any point from here on out, that is certainly going to shake some things up as well. Fitzgerald continuing to pull away right here. This battle, though, the battle for 2nd and 3rd right now, as Bundy tries to fend off Jeff Shutt. Looks like Tyler Marble takes that 2nd spot, so it's getting ready to be a battle for 3rd, as Jared Bundy's going to try to see if he can find a way around this 48 machine. Now that Jeff Marble has gotten clear of his teammate, you wonder what does he have for the 74. Seemed like he was sticking with Fitzgerald there when they were both behind the 48 of Tyler Marble, but now that Austin's got clean air, can the 15 find anything to try to catch up to him? Jared Bundy, he's looking around. You saw he thought about taking a peek to the inside, but he's going to stay high and in the wake of Tyler Marble for now. Actually, he drops to the middle. Jeff Shutt goes all the way to the bottom, and Tyler stays up top. Watch Austin Fitzgerald here. Is he trying to worry about taking away anybody's line, or is he sticking to the bottom, which is what he's been running best all night? He's sticking to what's been working best, that bottom groove. Jeff Marble's trying to follow, but just doesn't seem like he's making up any time, as that gap is now going to stretch to 0.4 of a second with 20 laps to go. So these guys, they're starting to run out of time to track down this 74. Further back you go. Jake Hickson, he's looking like the only other driver that would have anything for your leader, but he still sits 3.2 seconds back. Just not sure if he's going to have enough time. Kyle Oakley behind Jacob Musso, Cody Matthews. There's Michael Mueller, by the way, who had great short run speed. If you remember back to earlier, qualified second. Or excuse me, qualified first, but as it stands right now, doesn't look like the 99 is going to be fighting for much more than maybe a top 10 finish, at least at this rate. But 19 laps to go. I'm sure Fitzgerald isn't feeling like the pressure's off just yet. Jeff Marble, while he is not gaining, he's not exactly losing any either. That gap's sitting right around 0.3 of a second. But you wonder just how hard is this 15 car pushing? Is he trying maybe a little bit too hard to track down Fitzgerald? Is the handling going to go away here before he can get there? Up on the onboard view here with Jeff for a couple laps. Now notice he is just trying to follow the draft right now. I wonder if he would consider maybe going all the way down to the apron at any point. It does seem like sometimes you can get a little bit loose, actually, if you get on the apron. And, I mean, he is driving this thing for all it is worth. Look the amount of wheel input that he is putting back to the right out of the corner just to keep that car from spinning out. And I'm sure Fitzgerald's doing the same. It's a matter of which one of them has more grip. Fitzgerald, though, right now looking like he's got a little bit better handling race car out in front. But he just cannot shake Jeff Marble as he still holds on to that draft here now with 17 laps to go. And these two, they've started to check out from everybody else because you've got Tyler Marble, who's about 0.8 back, then Jeff Shutt and Jared Bundy are fighting to try to get around him. Danny Gutierrez, that is not for position. He's a lap down as you see some damage there on the right front. They've been from contact with the wall. Still looking for a pass on the outside. Further back, Jeff Shutt tried to make the move. Looked like he may have just washed up a little bit too much. So Tyler's able to hold on to that spot. 16 laps now to go for Austin Fitzgerald as he's looking for his 8th win of the season. This performance is looking similar to what we saw from Joshua Watson last season, where the domination just continues. Now, the difference was Fitzgerald arguably should have been last season's champion because in terms of raw speed, I mean, he had it at Phoenix. He was the fastest of the championship four. He did everything right, but unfortunately had a wheel issue, and I think that was the only time the entire season that I saw that car have an issue like that. His wheel went dead right coming off of turn 2, shot that car straight into the fence and ended his championship hopes. Boy, he was not happy about it, and you couldn't blame him because he did everything right, worked all season. Remember, these guys, they don't run like some of the leagues where it's only a season that's maybe a couple months. Their season runs the full length of the Cup Series real-life season. So, I mean, when you're looking at, again, running a season that's almost a year long, it can get pretty frustrating if a mistake happens and something that's out of your control in the championship race with as hard as you work to get there. So for Fitzgerald, I'm sure there's a little bit of redemption on mind. But then for Jeff Marble, you know that they want to bring that championship trophy back to Team Marble iRacing. 27 to Jeff Shutt. I'd like to see if they could secure the first championship for No Excuses Racing. And Jared Bundy back in 3rd right now. Tyler Marble currently sits in 5th. So by the way, Jared Bundy was actually 4th. Jake Hickson, looking at that gap, still 3.3. So yeah, it's just not going to be enough. 13 laps to go. Jake Hickson, he will need a caution to have any chance. And by the way, right now, if you look at that scoring tower on the left, you'll notice that the amount of cars that we still have currently remaining on the lead lap goes all the way back to, it looks like that 30, I believe it's, yep, the 32nd position. Yep, 30th. Take that back, 30th. So the last car on the lead lap is back in 29th. Currently, that's Roger Shelton. Glenn Grigsby is the first car lap down. Danny Gutierrez, Christopher Hall, Cody Matthews, GT Hawkins. They're all cars that are lapped down as well. GT Hawkins actually no longer on track. Not sure what happened to him, so that makes Cody Matthews the last car that is currently on track. The laps continue to wind down here as Fitzgerald is now stretching that gap, the lead, if you will, over Jeff Marble. They'll be coming to 11 laps to go, and the 74 is starting to scoot away. And if you're Jeff Marble right now, he is probably just, thinking, is there anything that I can do to try to track down the 74? But I think the reality is he's used his stuff up. It's a good effort. That's all you can really do, but I just don't think this 15's got anything left in the tank at this point. Try to go up there and get that 74 without some help. Jeff Shutt in third. He's looking for a podium finish, one of his best finishes of the season. If he can hold on, Jared Bundy in the top 5. He's going to be looking to fight for that podium. And Tyler Marble currently sits in 5th, but Jake Hickson, he's catching up, so it's going to be a battle here for Tyler as well to try to hold on to that 5th spot coming to the end. But I mean, man, what a race that it's been here tonight. And I'll say proudly, too, with 10 laps to go, we have only had one caution here tonight. It's by far been one of the cleanest races that we've had of the season. At a track that, I mean, to be honest, maybe you wouldn't have expected it, because these cars get loose in the long run, and the restarts were very, very aggressive as well. But after that first little mix-up off of turn 2 with Ryan Shiro getting loose, it has been clean and green since lap 30. Actually, more than that, because we went back green on lap 134. So it's been, if we can finish this race off green, it will have been a 101 lap green flag run to end this race, and with just 9 laps to go. For Austin Fitzgerald, he just wants to run these laps as quick as he possibly can. He wants to see that white flag so that he can know this race is official and that no caution can spoil the party for him here tonight. Jeff Marble still in second, but he is now over a second, almost a second and a half back from Fitzgerald. So yeah, he is going again to need a caution. Jeff Shutt still in third, Jared Bundy fourth, Tyler Marble in 5th. But here we go. Battle for that 5th spot is on as well. It certainly was for just a second, but Hickson got loose, and he had to check up there coming off of turn 4. That'll allow Tyler to create a little bit of room again. We're going to hop to the onboard view here with Jake for a lap or two. As watch the battle here of, what's really interesting right here is it almost looks like the way that 16 car is driving as if the nose is actually tight. So I wonder if he maybe overdrove the front tires a little bit through this run. And he's going to try to dive it in, though, here on Tyler Marble here. Is he looking for the slide job? Can he get clear? He's looking for the slide job here. Oh, man, Tyler's got to run here. Is Jake Hickson give him the room? No, he doesn't. Hickson won't give him the room, but Tyler's going to cross him over. Side by side down the front stretch. Tyler needs a little room to get up. Jake Hickson will give it to him. And now Tyler Marble's going to try to return the favor here down in turn 1 and 2. Doesn't look like he can make it happen. He is really sliding up the racetrack here, trying to get the quarter panel of that 16. He can't do it, though, and he'll have to drop in line instead. You can tell Tyler he was trying to hold a side draft there on Jake Hickson so that he could stay side by side in the 3, but it just didn't work out. So that'll put Jake back into the top 5. And I'll tell you one thing, the late pitting tire strategy did not work out. I thought that might have been the right call for Jake Hickson, but doesn't look like it, as he's going to finish potentially over 3 seconds back from your leader, Austin Fitzgerald, who continues to now put it on cruise control. So we'll be coming to 5 laps to go. A little bit of lap traffic there in the distance, but I don't think he'll catch all of that. Looks like he'll just have one lapper that he has to contend with here in the windshield, and that might be Roger Shelton back in the 42 machine, who currently sits in 29th. Yes, indeed it is. So once Austin Fitzgerald gets to this 42, if he does in time, that'll be the last car that he has to worry about, I don't want to say dealing with, but getting around before this race will be wrapped up and in the books. And again, next week we head to a short track, so this was a big opportunity for a lot of drivers, but tell you what, not much is going to change with the playoff picture if Fitzgerald gets another win, because he's already leading in both the regular season points and the playoff standings. So as it stands, and I keep saying playoff standings, I don't want to get anybody confused with that. He leads the standings of what the playoffs are shaping up to be right now. Again, the playoffs haven't officially started, but he currently leads the drivers that would make it into the round of 16 if the playoffs were to start, say right now. And so it's just 4 laps to go. He is less than 10 miles away from capturing his 8th win of the season. By the way, Jeff Marble, who continues to fade here, might be under fire from Jeff Shutt in the last closing laps here. This 27, he's closed in, and it's already looking like, again, one of the season best finishes for Jeff Shutt. He's already got a podium or 2 on the season, but might be looking for another one, potentially a second place finish if he can get to Jeff Marble. But you got to be careful here. Don't want to overdo it, especially when you've already got a good finish locked up. But he's going to take a dive to the inside here. Look at this, the 27 to Jeff Shutt, driving that car pretty deep into the corner, but is it going to be enough? Not quite, but he got really close. He's going to have another look here, down through 3 and 4. Going from the aerial view, there goes Jeff Shutt. Dives all the way down to the bottom. Does he try a slide job here on Jeff Marble? He gave it a little bit of a try. Can't quite clear up his, oh man, the 15 almost got into the fence there off of turn 4. Jeff Shutt has the position, though, that time as they cross the stripe, and he will get clear. Going into turn 1, boy, it was mighty, mighty close, but that 27 got clear, and I don't know if Jeff appreciated it, but nonetheless, he's going to try to battle back here as he'll cross him over to the inside. I think Jeff got a little bit loose. We'll keep an eye on that battle here in just a moment, but back up front, Austin Fitzgerald coming off of turn 4. Is he going to make it official? Yes, he will. He'll see the white flag, and that means 1 lap to go at Chicago. Further back, keeping an eye on the battle for that second position. Jeff Shutt still on the outside. Last chance here. They'll have a couple more corners to make it, to sort it out, if you will. Oh, Jeff Shutt got into the wall. I was just getting ready to say he's getting really high up the racetrack, trying to make something work. He gets into the wall, but they are still side by side. We'll go back to that off of turn 4, but right now we got to go back to your leader, Austin Fitzgerald, as he works his way through 3. And out of 4, it'll be number 8 of the season, and it will come at Chicagoland. Austin Fitzgerald wins it at Chicago. Off of turn 4, drag race to the finish. Jeff Shutt, he will take it. And boy, what a battle that was between these two in the closing laps, but Jeff Shutt will pick up the second place finish, and Jeff Marble rounds out the podium. Boy, what a race that was. I still cannot get over the amount of battling we saw late in the tire runs for a lot of these drivers. So as Fitzgerald brings it off turn 4, he'll burn it down to celebrate, and as he does, we'll take a look at your finishing results here tonight. Austin Fitzgerald for Dynamic Autosports is your race winner of the Chicagoland 200. Jeff Shutt brings home 2nd. You got Jeff Marble back in 3rd. Jared Bundy 4th. Jay Hickson in 5th. Tyler Marble 6th. Scott Glasso in 7th with Wes Hurd Jr. in 8th. Alan Pajari 9th. And Michael Mueller rounding out your top 10. Kenneth Bartholomew back in the 11th spot. Kyle Oakley in 12th. Ty Iopolito in 13th with Brian Haynes in 14th. Tracy Powers 15th. Brian Conklin in 16th. Christian Loschin, what a finish for the rookie in his first start of the season. He finishes in 17th. Jeffrey Souza back in 18th. And rounding out the top 20 here tonight is Brandon Saylor and Ryan Shiro. Mark Zabak, the Canadian driver, finishes in 21st. Thomas O'Hara 22nd. Matthew Gearinger 23rd. Greg Bartlett 24th. Todd Shiro in 25th. And Jeruso 26th. Roger Shelton in 27th. Glenn Grigsby back in 28th. Brett Spa 29th. And Jacob Musso rounding out your top 30. Danny Gutierrez finishes 31st. Christopher Hall in 32nd. Cody Matthews in 33rd. GT Hawkins 34th. Caleb Patton 35th. Johnny McCulchuk 36th. Anthony Hanley rounds out the field as he finishes in 37th. All right, as Austin Fitzgerald continues the celebrations here at Chicagoland, we are going to get your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Chicagoland Speedway. We are going to start first here tonight with your 3rd place finisher, Jeff Marble. Jeff, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Austin, how are you?
Well, good, man. What a race it was. And I'll tell you what, one thing that we saw here tonight that I feel like we don't see in a lot of races anymore was a lot of battling late in the tire run. Tell us a little bit about it, kind of what you felt from your perspective and the battling that you had there at the end with Jeff Shutt.
Yeah, me and Austin Fitzgerald, we pitted at the same time, and we came out together, and I'm like, you know what? This dude's so good at saving tires. Let me try and mimic what he does and see if we can't, save the tires like he does. I did learn some stuff following him, so I kind of have an idea how he does it, but it's just trying to get my brain trained to do it. But as far as Jeff, that was a hell of a battle. I kind of used up my tires there late trying to chase the 74 with, I don't know, 20 to go or so, and then he just caught right back up to me, and I'll just give him the bottom and I'll take the top, and then he shouldn't be able to clear himself, but he did, and then I just crossed him over, and I was able to have a hell of a finish there to the checkered line.
Yeah, it certainly was a great finish, and a great finish for you overall with the podium. And I mentioned to some of the viewers at home with the schedule coming up, Chicagoland next week we head to a short track, but then as we close in on the playoffs, we have a couple of wild card tracks. So how important is it in this stage of the season to continue to rack together these good finishes?
Yeah, first and foremost, we got it. We're trying all we can to get Brian into a playoff spot, Conklin, and with Johnny McCulchuk having what appeared to be bad luck. I see him disconnect and reconnect a couple times. So I'm not sure if he had connection issues or what, but that kind of helps Brian in his cause, and we'll just on me and Tyler's end and whatnot, we'll try to just keep racking them top fives to stay at least in the top 3 in points. And those playoff points are important. But, yeah, we're closing in on the playoffs. That battle for the 16th spot is going to be hot and heavy. And we do, like you said, we do have them wild card tracks coming up. Daytona, that'll be the ultimate one. And, yeah, it's going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, hey, before we let you head out here tonight to celebrate podium finish, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
First and foremost, Ghost and Racing Network, yourself. By the way, your microphone sounds really, really good. So just for me being in Discord here with you. SimRacerHub.com, Butt Kicker, iRacingIFlag.com, Capital Auto Group, Bushnell Motorsports Park, Donnie Adams Zach's Design Studio, and I hope I didn't forget anybody. Oh, can't forget the title sponsor, Alloy Wheel Repair Specialists out of Richmond, Virginia. So can't forget them guys. And again, thank you.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us. Well, hey, again, congrats on the podium finish, and we will see you next week.
Yep.
All right, and now that will bring us to your second place finisher here tonight, Jeff Shutt. Jeff, this is Austin in the booth. Get a copy.
Yes, sir.
Well, you bring home another podium for the season, and man, part of you's got to wonder, what if we had another fuel run? Do you feel like you would have had anything to go up there and fight for the lead?
Yeah, I kind of made the mistake, I think, of fighting Tyler too long and using up a little bit too much of my stuff. But yeah, I was really coming on there at the end. Maybe another 50 laps to this race, I might have had a chance.
Well, so far, I mean, the season in general has been kind of a roller coaster ride for you, but a good run here tonight. And I kind of want to give you a similar question to what we just asked Jeff Marble. As we get close to the end of the regular season, we know we got some wild card tracks coming up. So is it kind of important for you as a driver to try to rack together these consistent finishes on the tracks that there's a little bit more control over, if you will?
Yeah, definitely need to keep them clean, have good races. If I can't win, then I definitely need to stay in that top 5 to finish the regular season.
Well, you certainly finished inside the top 3 here tonight, so going to help your point standings. And hey, to wrap up a good night, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Just Capital Auto Group for the sponsorship, and No Excuses Racing, but overall really good, and I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us again. Congrats on the second place finish, Jeff. A photo finish at the line, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, sir.
All right, and now that is going to bring us to tonight's winner. Race win number 8 of the season for Austin Fitzgerald. Austin, this is Austin in the booth. Get a copy.
Hey, yeah, I got you.
Well, you take home another win, and I'll tell you what, the first half of this race, I got to be honest, it didn't look like you had the fastest car. Was it something you were doing? Were you saving more tire, longer runs? What was it?
Yeah, the car was fast on the short run, but I knew I had to save if, it was going to work on the long run. And then on top of that, like 20 to 30 laps in, or maybe like 15 to 30 laps in on a run, it would just get like breaking loose. But I knew if I could just kind of take care of it through that stage, then on the long run, it was just incredibly fast. It was just a rocket ship on the long run. As long as I just really disciplined and stuck to the low line at the beginning of the run. It's always tempting to go up because you could get that momentum off the corner, going up the track, but and that's what Jeff was doing, and he was definitely catching me. But I knew he could only keep that up so long. I didn't think the tires could really hold up. And we were just talking, and he knows he was getting into the corner probably a little too hard, and he was gaining. But once we hit 40 laps into a run, then he just started to fall off really hard. And by me just kind of staying disciplined, backing up my entry and running that low line, just paid off in the long run. Definitely helped that we didn't have, any cautions there at the end. Otherwise, have to pull off some qualifying laps. But yeah, it was just, there's so much fall off here. I think I was looking, we were like around 2 seconds fall off, maybe even a little bit more on a full tank of fuel. But yeah, it was a great race. It was cool with Dynamic Auto Sports. We all, or most of us, got a chance to lead the race there. Alan really fast on the short run. Jake was great on the mid run. My set was a little bit more dialed in for the long run, I think. Unfortunately, Ty got involved in some in the beginning of the race there, but I think he still got a maybe decent finish out of that. But yeah, really happy with 8th win, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And overall, you just continue to stretch that lead in the regular season points standing. So before we let you head out here tonight to go celebrate in victory lane, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
As always, thank you. Thanks to Dynamic Auto Sports. We put a lot of work into the set this week, and we're always changing it and tweaking it here and there. And when we get into this race, it was like 20 degrees hotter, than any other race you ran. So, just all the guys been doing great, just kind of anticipating what the weather is going to do and just dialing in their sets for, whatever conditions we get. So, yeah, shout out to the guys just for always bringing great sets. My family, thanks to my Vanity, my kids, Indy and Emma. And, yeah, thanks to everybody showing up this week. Looks like we had a really good turnout, 37 cars.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us. Well, congrats on your 8th win of the season, Austin, and we'll see you out here next week.
I see it.
All right, that's going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Chicagoland Speedway. Boy, what a race it was, and another win for Austin Fitzgerald. Continues to extend his argument and, well, actually, I'll say extend the resume, if you will, for being the favorite for the championship later on in the season. Great finish for Jeff Shutt and Jeff Marble as well. And so with that will wrap things up officially. I hope you all enjoyed. That's it for me, Austin Green, here on Ghost Racing Network. And until next time, have a good night.